indicate to the corruption, when I indicate to the relationship between the events, when I indicate to the interpretation of the political violence.
Different components of this city are like diseases.
Yes.
They are chronic.
All of these, all of the manipulation of reality, the conspiracy of reality, all of these lead to diseases, but social diseases, social scourges. So it's a symbolic rather than a meaning itself.
اوكي طب والترجمه لقى ايه؟ انا برضه وقفت في الترجمه بتاعتها يعني نقول المدينه المزمنه انا don't ask me for a word المدينه المزمنه بيقول مدينه مزمنه يعني ايه مدينه مقصود بها مدينه عتيقه قديمه
Full of diseases. Full of diseases.
يبقى ما نقولش مزمنه كده مش هنقول مزمنه مش هنقول مزمنه I don't know بتقول ايه يا دكتوره؟
يا اما مدينه تحتضر يا اما
ما خلاها لو هنقولها هنقول تحتضر لا مش كده؟ لا ما ينفعش مفيش قلنا ما دي من الحاجات اللي لازم نعمل فانكشن شيفت. اوكي ثانك يو فيري ماتش. على فكره يعني when a work is rich it incites discussion and this is a ritual where it's precise and concise والحقيقه عشان كده تلاقينا في حاجات ممكن انا لقدرتي المحدوده do not understand لكن هلا بما انها هي اللي عامله الشغل ده I always say this the candidate is more knowledgeable than his examiners in his work. هو كده انت بقالك قد ايه بقالك كام سنه شغاله This is true. Thank you very much. Now I congratulate you and I congratulate your supervisors. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Abdallah. As usual, it's a very illuminating and comprehensive discussion. هي حكت البلوك كوتيشن حتى even الانترودكشن المفروض ما يبقاش فيها كوتيشن كان full of quotation يا ريت تشيل الكوتيشن يا ريت تشيل الكوتيشن مفيش فايدة نقلل بس مفيش فايدة. Now I have to listen to or we have to listen to Professor Basma.
اللهم علينا لا ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا. First, I would like to welcome Dr. Nagla or Professor Nagla. We thought this is the first time to be here in our university, and I hope that it's not going to be the only one. It's only the beginning for a future of communication, many decisions, vibes, and so on. I would like to thank Dr. Asma again for having or giving me the chance for co-supervising her, Dr. Abdallah, with whom I always feel safe, proud, and in the habit of learning all the time. So thank you again. As for her, well, she knows that she's one of my favorite students. I like her, honestly speaking, not only because she's patient, but she is always eager to do whatever it takes to produce something good. She's not the smartest to be true, but she is doing the best she can in order to make me proud of her. All the time, she has her own points of view, and we have been arguing all the time. Sometimes when it comes to new historicism and how Dr. Asma has chosen the approach, in spite of the fact that she's saying that new historicism is appealing to her, let me be frank. At the beginning, she didn't like new historicism, and she still has some kind of, let's say, it's dark spots when it comes to new. Let me comment on what she has been saying regarding the fact that new historicism is some kind of an appealing school. To be objective, it's not appealing. It is just like any critical approach, and as I have just been telling Dr. Nagla, it's not some kind of a new approach all the critical schools, including Marxism, have been speaking of the same points. The problem with critical schools is that they are manipulating the elements they are working with. Sometimes they focus on one or two elements, bring them to the fore, give them a new, let's say, a new appearance, and formulate a new approach, which is not totally new. So new historicism is not new. What are the practices that are related to new historicism? They are related to every other critical school. We have to admit this. When it comes to the thesis, let's start with the prior points. I have known that you have been struggling with the historical details or these points related to your own points or your own novels. It's some kind of a hard task because the text is always referring her to some kind of a historical event in a different era. She has been struggling with this. But what made things easier is that she is taking Latin in comparison with Italian Calvino, and let's bear in mind that Calvino was, let's say, the role model for Latin, which made things easier for her. When it comes to the dark points, I remember telling you that we have to tackle the technical aspect, which you have somehow ignored. From my own point of view, considering or analyzing the technical aspect, the style, the symbols, the allegories, whatever, related to the author is your own point of distinction, which you have totally ignored. And my question now is, can you classify Latin and Calvino in light of the critical schools to what movement, to what critical school they belong, and again their own production, the two novels, can you classify them according to our literary genres?
According to the technical point, I mentioned the technical point. I use surrealistic plot elements in Chronic City, such as the urban disasters destroyed the city, pervasive chocolate smell, tiger stalks Manhattan and destroys it mysteriously.
By the way, does the tiger refer you back to any kind of literature?
Yes, I search for the Serialism as a movement. It focuses on...
I'm not speaking of Serialism, I'm speaking of the idea of the tiger. Does it refer you back to any literary work? The idea of the tiger? Yes.
I mentioned Johnson Safran Force, falling external and incredibly close. He says that America is like a loaf of black bread. It's a metaphor like is a tiger. All of these...
I mean, do we have a literary work in which the tiger is the main hero?
Tiger is not a main hero.
No, it is a hero in Tiger, burning bright in the forest of the night. Again, how do you classify Latham and Calvin?
How do I classify it?
Yeah.
Italo Calvino may be a modernist writer. He aspires for a utopian vision. Jonathan Latham may be a postmodernist
You mean that
writer.
all modern writers are seeking utopia?
Yes, modernist writers seeking utopia, but there's interconnection.
Utopia in terms of what?
Utopia. For example, Burn in the Trees arose from the ashes of the obscurity of World War II.
By the way, when speaking of new historicism, you said that new historicism is trying to create, pardon Dr. Abdallah, to create some kind of a history which hasn't existed. In
Yes.
light of this, how can you justify the principle, the basic principle of new historicism of comparing a fictional and non-fictional work? Why do we are operating such a comparison if we are not seeking for a specific kind of history?
Italo Calvino.
Yes.
ان شاء الله هتعمل حاجات من بحث الترتيب. You can be an examiner. You can be an examiner.
Okay.
I say, Italo Calvino has acknowledged his general propensity for the 18th century. He's influenced by the Scottish writer Stephen Earson.
Hanan, please do not distract me. I'm
Okay.
speaking of a specific point. You have said that new historicism is creating some kind of a history which hasn't even existed.
If we look at the events of the Enlightenment within the barren inventories, it's fictionalized. It's also sheds light on the period of the Enlightenment.
The utopia you are looking for may have never existed, but the history we are looking for,
In parallel to the contemporary world, the meaning of the events has a real equivalent in life.
new historicism is trying to discover the truth, the
Yes.
real history,
Yes,
what really happened.
yes,
That's why we are in the habit of comparing fictional and non-fictional texts.
yes,
So we are after a specific time of history,
yes.
which did exist, but you said that it didn't exist.
It didn't exist, but it had factors related to the actual period.
It existed, but we were not aware of it. It was. We can never be in the habit of comparing texts looking for nothing. History existed, and we are looking for the truth of the past.
In light of new historicism, fiction, history is fictionalized. Yes, it's fictionalized. So I blurs the lines between the real history and the fictional history in the novels.
You are not the one who is blurring the lines between history and fact.
It's very
It's your
true.
own authors, the writers are blurring. It's not a philosophy. I was just taken by the idea that she's saying new historicism is after something which didn't exist, which is not true. New historicism is after the truth of the past.
Yes, yes, yes.
from our old traditional history.
Yes.
Like it didn't exist.
In order to be more specific, history has been written, as Marxism is always saying, history has been written from the point of view of the oppressive.
Doctor, I learned from you that all the critical schools are interrelated. But we attempt to distinguish the differences between the schools. But in a whole, they are like a big umbrella, which contains Marxism, Historicism, etc., etc., but have a purpose, which
You
is
are
searching
always
for
in
the
the habit,
truth.
by the way, you are always in the habit of distracting those who are examining you. This is not my basic point. I know that all the critical schools are related. I'm just commenting on your own point of view that new criticism is not after history that existed. It existed, but we were not aware of it.
Yes.
Okay, one last point I would like to ask you. If it were not new historicism, what kind of a critical school you would like to apply to the two authors in light of the technical aspects of both Latham and Calvin?
I don't find there is a school suitable rather than Historicism, but I think maybe
Oh, that's not true.
contemporary criticism may be related to the novels.
What do you mean by contemporary criticism?
Contemporary criticism that elaborates on the contemporary social and political conditions.
Contemporary criticism is not some kind of a specific criticism. It's an umbrella for a number of theories. I'm asking you to name for me one critical school that's applicable to these two works.
Critical school, maybe postmodernism.
Postmodernism is not
Maybe
a critical,
postmodernism.
it's not a critical school, by the way. Postmodernism is a description of an era we are living in. It's not a critical
We
school.
cannot take it as an umbrella for the analyzing of
It's not a matter of umbrella. It's not a matter of umbrella.
Okay.
But it's quite clear. Magic realism is applicable to you both.
Magic realism, yes.
Do you
Yes.
know magic realism?
Yes, there's a line between fiction and reality.
So you are in the habit of repeating, we are clearing the distinction between fact and fiction. And when I ask you which critical school would you like to apply,
Yes, yes. Yes.
Okay, that's enough. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Basma. Actually, it's very nice to listen to what you are saying. Like in Asaf, we have a discussion now, another discussion in this place. They want us to leave. That's why we are pushing you forward. Like Dr. Basma has points which has to be considered. Like, and she's used to discuss whatever you would like with her later on. What actually what is said today, whether from Professor Nagla or Professor Abdullah or even from Professor Basma, definitely you have benefited from. Correction is a must, and all of us thank you for your piece, which is a very good one, actually. Thank you very much for a very hard work student. Okay, thank you very much. أنا بس بستأذن الجماعة الأودينس يسيبونا دقيقتين بس. Okay.